Hey gang, it's me with a rare second channel video. Haven't had one of those in a while. So I'm assuming that most of you have already seen the DC2 rankings video, but for those of you who haven't, let me quickly explain what this is about. In both my DCAS and DC2 rankings videos, Tess did not have a normal section. Rather than a thorough analysis, she had segments where she was captured by Hamaru and Paula, two characters who are relevant to the lore of my channel. But I have received a lot of comments that are asking for my actual thoughts on Tess, so I figure, you know what? Might as well. All of the Tess stuff in those videos relates to a greater narrative that I want to tackle in my future videos, and I do have a plan for how that story is going to expand. But to give you a little insight into why I chose Tess for that, and why I didn't give her any sort of analysis in the videos, I'm going to give you an actual analysis here. So, I don't hate Tess. I hate how Odd Nations has decided to handle her. I think that Tess was a character with so much potential. Season 2 Remake did an excellent job tackling her depression. It felt real, it felt engaging, and I wanted to see more. I thought she had a lot going for her, but as we all know by now, she got eliminated in episode 7, and to me that felt way too early. All Stars is even worse because she was intended to be a finalist. The first few episodes of the series clearly hinted at a deeper run for her, where she would presumably have had a lot more plot relevance and chances to grow. But somewhere along the way, they decided to swap her and Allie's placement, and this has never sat well for me. When I analyze Disventure Camp, I talk about it through the lens of both a critic and a fan, but speaking purely as a fan here, why the fuck did they do this? I am in awe that if someone interviewed the proofreaders of DCAS, they would probably say something like, yeah, so we initially planned for Tess to make the final 2, but we realized that the Allie arc really needed more time to blossom, so we swapped their places, realizing that people would probably identify with Allie's arc more. No, that is ridiculous. Why would you do that? Tess is stuck in a weird middle ground when it comes to Disventure Camp characters. She's not irrelevant enough to be a Lil tier character, but the show doesn't give her enough attention for her to be a favorite. And I hate that, because if they actually did give her that attention, I think she could have been one of the show's best characters. I think Disventure Camp has a problem when it comes to recognizing who their best characters are, and I understand that I am biased when I say that. It's a purely subjective opinion, and I also have the benefit of hindsight, which muddies things even more. But fuck, man, they really blundered swapping these two around. I know that Allie does apparently have the most greetings of any female character, but that is only because they sandbagged Tess. Remember Royal Prince? Remember how that guy bought like 50 greetings for Tess? How many more greetings could ONC have sold if she actually got a good run? Quite a lot, I'd think. Now, I could go into detail about all of Tess's plotlines and dynamics, but I don't think I need to because I can sum all of them up with the same sentence. It's good, but I wish they did more with it. This is why I think that characters like Will and Oliver are easier to talk about despite having less going on. Because with characters as simple as they are, it's very easy to talk about what they are. You are a funny first boot, for example. And this also applies to characters who made it far, like the DCAS Final 3, for example. It's really easy to talk about them with "you are" statements. There's just a lot more of them because they had a lot more screen time. Tess lives in a world of could-be's. Tess could be this, Tess could have been that. And this is the same mentality you hear for characters like Ted, but even then, I think there's a difference. Yes, Ted could have been something far greater than he was, but when I look at Ted as a character, I don't think there's anything missing from his story. Imagine a fully finished sketch of a drawing. Sure, it is just a sketch, very simplistic and not fully realized. If the artist put in the effort to draw the entire thing, the finished product would almost definitely stand out a lot more. But the artist always intended this drawing to be a sketch, and because of that, they were able to draw it in such a way that, even in this minimal state, it feels complete. A lot of early boots in Total Drama and/or Disventure Camp tend to end up this way. Tess, by contrast, isn't that. She feels unfinished. Tess Morgan is not a finished character. This is not a problem that ONC usually struggles with. Even if I don't like all of their characters, I think most of them still feel complete, with two exceptions. Tess is the first, but since I feel like some of you need convincing, I'm going to compare her to the second. One of the weirdest things about Disventure Camp Season 1 was the inclusion of Jensen. Every time he was on screen, the show went out of its way to make him seem intimidating and malicious. They hinted at some sort of big plan that he was working towards, and by the end of the season, All it amounted to was him stealing Miriam's money and using the bus to try to escape. The only reason that Jensen exists is because Tom's storyline involves him being a spy. His agency needed him to investigate someone, and Jensen is there to be the guy he investigates. But even though he's functionally just a plot device, the concept is interesting. Jensen is a career criminal wanted by a spy agency. That is worth something. How did he get into crime? What terrible things did he do in his past? What would he and Tom's dynamic actually be like? And then when Jensen gets his own dedicated Staff Stories episode, what do we learn about him? Oh, he likes dogs! Also, his sister died, but mostly, he likes dogs. I can't be the only one who thinks that's just really lame, right? Granted, I highly doubt that ONC would have been able to tackle any sort of high-octane concepts with Jensen, both because this was the first spin-off episode they ever created, and because I doubt the episode would have been long enough to accomplish that. But the dog thing just feels like nothing. It feels like a poor attempt to try to give Jensen some characterization to distract from how underwritten he was in Season 1. And I bring up all this stuff about Jensen because, when you think about it, this is kinda what they did with Tess as well. Season 2 laid the groundwork, but Tess went early. That's not ideal, but it's fine. There's a lot to make good on in future seasons. Then All-Stars happens, and she's clearly set up for something, but because ONC changes the order, she gets reduced to a generic nice character for people to confide in. And then come Tom Jake 2, it feels like her entire personality is just helping people. She's the nice, chill girl who other people can rely on, and that is really lame. I don't hate that she's a side character in the series literally called Tom Jake, but I hate that Tom Jake reinforces the notion that this is all she is. Why do you think that so much of this video was me going off on tangents about other things? With every other character that Disventure Camp handles poorly, I can analyze what they tried to do with them and explain why I think the attempt didn't pan out. But I don't know if they did try with Tess, not until the DC2 remake anyway. And she does have an interesting start to a storyline in that season, but it still feels incomplete to me. I can look at a character like Tess and come up with several storylines that she could have gone through during her 2-season run, and I can't help but feel a little disappointed that ONC just didn't care to give her anything meaningful. Which is a shame, because I think she has a nice design, I really like her vibe, and I like the attempt at tackling a mental health storyline. You have so much room to do something there. But it just seems to me that ONC isn't interested in doing anything with that. I remember browsing through the comments after the DCast rankings, and a few people were upset that I didn't actually talk about Tess. And yeah, I get it, that's how I felt during All-Stars. The one thing that I took issue with is that some people were like, I don't get the joke, or this bit isn't funny, I wanted Tess content. So, to those people, I want to make myself clear. This is not a joke, this is not a bit, this is leading somewhere. Unlike ONC, I actually plan to follow up with Tess, and when that time comes, you don't have to like what I make. I know that not everyone cares about YouTuber lore, that's fine. But in my mind, the stuff that I plan to do with Tess is going to have far more value to me and to the character than a basic analysis ever could. I promise I'm not trying to sound cynical here, but I don't think this analysis of Tess is really all that great in comparison to everything on my main channel. 'Cause, like, just being real here, if I actually did talk about Tess in those videos, what would I have said? There's really only two ways to talk about her. Either you think she's boring and overrated, or you think she was strongly underutilized by the narrative, and most of what I've been saying coincides with that second point. What new things could I have brought to the conversation? I don't know. Given how bare bones Tess is, probably not a lot, but unlike characters like Oliver or Kai, I feel that Tess really did deserve better. I like her, but I don't like talking about her. So instead of talking about how I wish Tess had more to her, I want to make something where she actually does have more to her, even if it's a different sort of project. My friend Blair Projects had a video where they rewrote DCast by following the first elimination order, and in that rewrite, Tess was the main villain. I remember a few people took issue with this because they couldn't see Tess doing that, and that's fair, it is a bit of a leap. But given where Tess is now, I can't see her doing much of anything. So, why not make her a villain? Why not take her in a crazy new direction? I think some reinvention is exactly what she needs. To close things off, I know that my tone this video has been pretty dour. I promise I'm not, like, depressed about any of this or anything. I just am tired because I'm recording it late at night. Don't worry about me. I recorded this video because at the end of the day, I wanted to make it. And also because I feel like Tess did deserve some sort of analysis after I left her out of both of those videos. Because When I think about Tess, how she's used in the show and how the fandom talks about her, it makes me think, wow, I want more for this woman. And I guess I just wanted to make a video talking about that. So yeah, that's all. Have a good day, everyone.